By the time Chief Tunde Adeyemi stepped out of the private elevator, the whole hospital lobby had gone silent. Nurses stopped walking. A doctor froze in the middle of signing a chart. Even the security guards at the glass doors stared, unsure if they should move or not. Because right there in front of everyone, a barefoot girl in a torn yellow dress was kneeling beside his son's wheelchair. His son, Daniel. Daniel's thin legs lay still, tied gently to the footrest so they would not slip. His head leaned to one side, his eyes half closed from the painkillers. The expensive blanket over his body looked too big for him now, like it belonged to someone stronger. The girl's hair was rough and tangled, like it had not seen a comb in weeks. Dust covered her feet and ankles. A small black nylon bag hung from her shoulder. The kind people used to pick things from the street. She looked like all the homeless children Chief Tunde had spent his life driving past in his tinted cars. But now she was touching his son. Her hands were very careful. One hand was on Daniel's arm, rubbing it softly. The other held a small folded paper fan that she used to cool his face. "Shh," she whispered, like she had known him all her life. "It's okay. The pain will not last forever. Just breathe, okay? Breathe slow. Like this." Daniel's lips trembled. A tear rolled down his cheek. Chief Tunde's heart squeezed in his chest. He watched as the girl gently wiped the tear away with the clean part of her sleeve. Her eyes were full of something he had not seen in a long time when people looked at his son. Not pity, not fear, just kindness. "Hey!" one of the security guards shouted, finding his courage at last. "You! Move away from that boy!" The girl flinched and looked up. Her eyes met Chief Tunde's. They were bright, even though her face was tired. She looked scared, but she did not jump up and run. Her hand stayed on Daniel's arm, like she was more worried about him than about herself. No, please," she stammered. He was crying. I just wanted to help." The whole lobby turned to see what the billionaire would do. It was not every day that the richest man in the building found a homeless girl touching his only son. The head nurse hurried forward, breathing fast. "Sir, I am so sorry," she said, bowing her head. "We will remove her at once. She has no right." "Should I drag her out, sir?" the security guard asked, already taking a step toward the girl. The girl slowly pulled her hand back from Daniel's arm. For a second, something fierce flashed in Daniel's sleepy eyes, like he did not want her to go. Chief Tunde finally took a step forward. Everyone watched him. The billionaire looked at the girl, looked at his paralyzed son, then raised his hand. And then, in front of the entire hospital, he did something no one in that lobby was ready for. 2 weeks earlier. The first time Lagos truly scared Daniel wasn't when he saw a fight on the street, or when he heard shouting from the next compound. It was the day he realized his father could buy anything, except time. Back then, Daniel could still run. He ran through their huge house in Banana Island, bouncing from room to room like a small ball of light. He jumped from the white leather sofa to the soft rug, racing toy cars along the glass center table, making engine sounds with his mouth. "Careful with those, Daniel," the housekeeper, Annie Grace, warned. "Your father is hosting big men tonight. Don't scratch anything." "But he's always hosting big men," Daniel complained, his shoulders dropping. "He's never just home." Annie Grace gave him a small, sad smile as she dusted the shiny picture frames on the wall. Photos of Chief Tunde shaking hands with governors, presidents, and famous business people. "He is home," she said softly. "Just not in the way you want." Daniel stared at one photo in particular. In it, his father was holding a giant pair of scissors, smiling as he cut a ribbon to open a new factory. Men in suits clapped behind him. Confetti floated in the air. But Daniel knew that same day he had eaten dinner alone. Again. He turned away from the wall and rushed to the big window that looked out over the water. Boats moved slowly on the lagoon, like lazy toys. Far on the other side, he could see the tall buildings of Victoria Island. He pressed his forehead to the glass and whispered, "I wish you would just come home on time. Just once." Down below in the front compound, his father's black convoy rolled in through the giant gate. Police escorts, tinted SUVs, like a moving wall of power. Daniel's heart jumped. "Daddy is home," he shouted. He raced down the stairs before Auntie Grace could stop him. His socks slid on the polished steps, and he almost fell, but he didn't care. For once, his father had come back early. The sun was still in the sky. Maybe they could eat together. Maybe they could talk. Maybe today would be different. He burst out through the front door just as his father stepped out of the main SUV, talking into two phones at the same time. His driver held one door, his assistant held a folder, and another man carried his laptop bag. "Daddy!" Daniel called, running toward him. Chief Tunde briefly lifted his eyes. "Daniel," he said, quickly kissing the top of his son's head, "I have a video call with investors in 10 minutes. We will talk this evening, okay?" "You promise?" Daniel asked, searching his face. Yes, his father said, already turning away. "We will talk, I promise." But even as he said the words, he was back on his phone, speaking in a sharp, tired voice about contracts and shipments and deadlines. The promise fell to the ground between them, invisible but heavy. Daniel watched him go inside, talking fast, moving fast, living fast. He stayed outside for a long moment, looking at the empty space where his father had just been. Behind the high walls of the house on the other side of the gate, a completely different Lagos was moving. Across town, under the shadow of the third mainland bridge, a girl named Ife woke up to the sound of car horns. The sky above her was still a little dark, but the city was already loud. Danfo buses honked as they rushed past. Sellers shouted the names of their goods. Smoke from roasted corn and suya rose in thin gray lines. Ife lay on a piece of cardboard with her back against a cold concrete pillar. Next to her, her little brother, Chika, slept with his knees pulled up to his chest, his small hand still holding her shirt like he was afraid to let go. "Chika," she whispered, shaking him softly. "Wake up. We have to move before the police chase us again." He rubbed his eyes and yawned. "I had a dream," he mumbled. "We were in a real house, with a fan, and a bed, and rice every day." I've smiled even though her heart hurt. "One day, eh?" she said. "We will have more than rice. We will have chicken too." He grinned at that. They folded their cardboard carefully. It was their only bed. If someone stole it, the ground would feel harder that night. As they stepped out from under the bridge, cars rushed past them. Drivers barely looked their way. Some days people dropped coins into Ife's small plastic cup as she sang at the traffic light. Some days people shouted at her to move away from their cars. And some days no one saw her at all. But every day she tried her best to protect Chika. "Stay close to me," she told him as they walked along the busy road. "If anyone tries to touch you, shout. I will shout too. We will shout together, okay?" "Okay," he said, gripping her hand tighter. They moved from car to car when the traffic lights turned red, offering people small sachets of pure water they had gotten on credit from a woman in the market. "Pure water, 50 naira, Eve called, her voice clear. "Help us, please. Buy water." Most people ignored them. Some rolled up their windows. One man shouted, "Leave my car, abeg," even though she had not touched it. By noon, the sun was hot and unforgiving. Sweat ran down Ife's back. Her legs ached. They had sold only a few sachets. She counted the small coins in her hand and sighed. It would not be enough to pay the woman and still buy food for them both. "Maybe we try near the hospital," Chika suggested quietly. "People there are sad. Sad people buy more water, right?" If looked at him. His idea was not bad. "Okay," she said. "We will try." They walked a long time to get there, their feet dusty and sore. The hospital was a tall white building with glass doors and a clean signboard. Cars that looked like ships to Chika were parked outside. "For rich people," Ife murmured. "Maybe rich people also get thirsty," Chika whispered back. They waited near the gate, careful not to come too close so the guards would not chase them yet. Every time a car went in or out, Ife lifted her cup. "Pure water, sir. Pure water, Mom. Please help us." Some people gave. Most did not. Then, in the middle of the afternoon, it happened. A black convoy rolled up to the gate. It looked different from the others. Bigger, stronger, heavier. Policemen on bikes moved in front of it, clearing the way. "Who is that?" Chika asked. "Some very big man," one of the gatemen said to another. "The billionaire. The owner of half of Lagos." The convoy went inside, and a few minutes later, as Ife watched from far away, she saw something through the glass doors that made her heart stop. A boy, maybe her age, maybe a bit younger. He was in a wheelchair. His legs did not move. His head drooped to one side. From where she stood, she could see the way his mouth twisted like he wanted to cry, but was too tired. She could see his father's face, too, for just a moment, hard, worried, busy. If did not know this boy. She did not know his name, or that his father owned companies all over Nigeria. She only knew one thing. He looked more helpless than even Chika did on the worst days. As the glass doors closed again, hiding the boy from sight, something in Ife's chest tightened. She could walk away. She could stay outside with her small cup, chasing coins from strangers. But instead, she took a slow step toward the hospital entrance. Then another. Ife, Chika whispered, scared. Where are you going? She swallowed. I just want to check, she said. I want to see if he is okay. You can't go inside, Chika said. They will chase you, maybe beat you. I know, she answered, but she kept walking. Her heart pounded as she came closer to the glass doors, closer to the cool air and bright lights, closer to the world that did not belong to her. She reached out and placed her hand on the cold glass. On the other side, in a quiet corner of the lobby, the boy in the wheelchair suddenly lifted his eyes. For the first time, their worlds touched, and in the next few minutes, a choice Ife made, right there at those doors, would change both their lives in a way no one could have imagined. The moment Ife pushed the glass door open, cold air wrapped around her like she had stepped into a different universe. The hospital lobby smelled clean, too clean. The floor shone like still water, and her bare feet felt out of place on it. She took one careful step inside. No one noticed her at first. People were moving fast, nurses pushing carts, doctors speaking into phones, relatives whispering prayers under their breath. All of them looked like they belonged here. Only she didn't, but her eyes were fixed on one thing, the boy in the wheelchair. He sat near the far wall now, closer to a line of tall windows. A nurse had just adjusted the blanket on his lap, but he still looked uncomfortable. His face was pale, and his fingers twitched like he was trying to reach for something only he could see. If hesitated, she could still turn around. She could run back to the gate before anyone noticed her. But then the boy's head moved a little, and she saw the tear sliding down his cheek. A single tear. Something inside her broke. She forgot the guards. She forgot the rules. She forgot that she was barefoot, hungry, and not supposed to be there. All she saw was a child in pain. Her feet moved on their own. Step, 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 until she reached him. Are you okay? She whispered. The boy blinked slowly and turned his eyes toward her. His lips shook like he wanted to say something, but couldn't. Without thinking, Ife reached for the paper brochure sticking out of a side table nearby. She folded it quickly and began to fan his face gently. The boy's shallow breath slowed. He relaxed. His shoulders dropped. For the first time since she saw him, his eyes softened. It will be okay, she whispered. Just breathe. He did. She wiped another tear from his cheek with the clean part of her sleeve. That was when a loud voice exploded behind her. Hey, you! What are you doing here? The shout filled the lobby like a clap of thunder. A security guard rushed toward her, his boots slamming the floor. Nurses turned. Patients turned. Even the receptionist froze. If jumped in fear, but she didn't run. Her hand stayed on the boy's arm. I'm sorry, she stammered. He was crying. I just wanted to help. The guard grabbed her shoulder. The boy's eyes widened in panic. Sir, the head nurse cried, rushing forward. This girl cannot be here. She needs to be removed immediately before... Did she touch the patient? Another nurse shouted. This is dangerous, people whispered from every corner. Homeless girl. Where is her mother? She shouldn't be in here. Call the manager. The guard tightened his grip. That was when a deep voice cut through the noise, a voice that silenced the room. Let her go. Everyone froze. Standing at the center of the lobby, staring directly at the guard, was Chief Tunde Adeyemi. And he did not look angry. He looked shaken. The guard swallowed and slowly released Ife's shoulder. The billionaire stepped closer, eyes locked on the girl who had dared to touch his son. Then he said something, one quiet sentence, that made the entire lobby gasp. Daniel's seizure came like a storm. His small body shook, his hands stiffened, and his head jerked backward as alarms began to scream across the hospital hallway. Nurses rushed from every corner. A doctor shouted orders. Two guards tried to clear the space. But in the middle of the chaos, only one person moved first. Not the nurses, not the doctors, not the billionaire. If, without thinking, she lunged forward and grabbed Daniel's arm, not to stop the shaking, but to stop him from sliding sideways out of the wheelchair. "Hold his head steady," a doctor yelled. But the team was too far, so Ife gently cupped the back of Daniel's head with her palm, keeping him from hitting the hard metal bar of the wheelchair. She didn't panic. She didn't scream. She just held him, talking to him in a soft voice only he could hear. "You're okay," she whispered. "You're safe. I'm right here." Chief Tunde stood frozen. He had seen doctors treat his son. He had seen nurses adjust machines. He had paid the best specialists in Nigeria and abroad. But he had never, not once, seen anyone hold Daniel like this. Not with fear, not with pity, but with love. By the time the seizure slowed and Daniel's body relaxed, every person in that hallway had gone silent. A doctor stepped in. "Please, we need to take him in for tests." But when they tried to pull Ife's hand away from Daniel's, his fingers curled around hers. Tight. He didn't want her to go, and everyone saw it. The billionaire's chest rose and fell with a deep, shaky breath. Then he spoke. Not to the doctors, not to the nurses, not to the guards. To the girl who had saved his son twice in one day. "Ife," he said quietly, "what do you want?" She blinked, confused. "Sir? What do you want in this life?" Her lips parted, but no words came out. Who had ever asked her that? Who had ever cared? She looked down at Daniel's weak hand holding hers. Then she thought of Chica waiting outside with no idea what trouble she might be in. "I just want my brother safe," she whispered. "I want him to eat every day. I want him to sleep inside a room, with a roof, and a door we can close." Her voice cracked. "That's all?" Everyone held their breath. Chief Tunde looked at her for a long time, his jaw tightening, something breaking inside him. Then he nodded once, like he had just made a decision that might shake the entire city. "From today," he said, "you and your brother will never sleep under a bridge again." Gasps filled the hallway. "You will live in my home," he continued, "both of you, as family." I've staggered backward. "Family?" She shook her head quickly. "No, no, sir, I can't. I'm nobody." He stepped closer. "You are the girl who saved my son," he said. "That makes you somebody." Before she could respond, Daniel squeezed her fingers again, weakly, but on purpose. Ife's eyes filled with tears. The billionaire reached out his hand to her. "Come with us." She stared at his hand, then at Daniel, then back at the man who had the power to change everything. And slowly, she took his hand. The doctors wheeled Daniel away for tests. Nurses whispered. The guards stepped aside, and as Ife walked beside the billionaire through the bright hospital hallway, she felt something she had not felt in years. Hope. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring. She didn't know how hard the journey ahead could be, but she knew one thing. Her life and her brother's life had just changed forever. And it all began with a moment she wasn't supposed to be there. Touching a boy she wasn't supposed to meet, in a world she wasn't supposed to enter. A world that suddenly had opened its doors just for her. If you enjoyed this story, please support us by subscribing to our channel. Your subscription helps us create more powerful stories like this one. Don't forget to like, share, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode.